Welcome to the first episode of our podcast where we will be talking about Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Not only will we be talking about the movies, but we'll be talking about every freaking Star Wars book that exists about about the Skywalkers and stuff. Just everything. See, we have, this is our first episode of the podcast today. We're to start with The Phantom Menace, not the book, a novel which I would totally talk about if I read it, but not. So we're gonna be talking about the Phantom Menace, the movie. We're gonna go in depth about every detail as much as we can, because I've seen that movie a lot. I've seen it, and we'll go into detail about it. So make sure to listen to this podcast. This is gonna be fun. So today we have a guest on my podcast. It is my brother. He has multiple channels. He has Headshot Demon, and he's starting a new one where he's using his WWE action figures, and he's gonna make matches and stuff. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out. So yeah, go ahead. So, The Phantom Menace, it starts off the opening scroll, usually Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. It tells you everything that's happening, right? So, the Trade Federation, okay, they have a blockade, blocking Naboo, and before anything, you meet, fudge, I can't even remember his name. What the fudge is his name? The guy in the Trade Federation, his name is the Viceroy Gunray. Newt Gunray. Yes, that's his name. Newt Gunray is having a blockade. He's teaming up with Sidious, the Sith Lord. And so that's basically what's going on. And I don't like Newt Gunray. I never really liked him. I thought he was very annoying. His voice just annoys me. It's just like, God, why did he have to exist? Yes, The Phantom Menace, out of all the Star Wars movies so far that we're going to talk about, is the worst. What do you think of Newt Gunray, the guy?
Never really liked him. Wasn't a huge fan. He's annoying. I think he's pretty annoying. My opinion, I don't think he really had a point of being in the movie.
So we're gonna be talking about this over the course of however long I want to. Just continue talking about the Skywalker Saga until it's just over. So episode 1 has a lot of its faults and a lot of things I didn't like about it and made zero sense. But the thing is, we have to point out is that this movie was just the beginning of us being introduced to little kid Anakin. That was the whole point of this, getting reintroduced to these characters. Okay, Anakin's just a little kid, right? But there's problems I have, and there's stuff I liked about this movie. Is not the worst out of all of them. There's plenty worse movies I've seen that are bad. The Phantom Menace, okay? We want to talk about the Phantom Menace. And what George Lucas did with that movie has something I would like to say was he was trying to do what he did years ago. Grow with the audience, right? When he started the movies, he didn't grow with the audience. Didn't do that. But he was trying to change it to the fact that the kids who are watching this were going to be kids watching a movie with a kid. And then they get older, and then he's a teenager, but he's actually technically an adult, but he's not an adult, he's 19. And then he's married, and most of them are going to be. But he did was he was trying to grow with the audience and keep doing that over the course of every single movie. You get older and stuff. But what I didn't like was how he did it with the Phantom Menace. He could have totally done it differently, and there was just like I did not like. But there were so many details. I want to talk about the fact that Anakin built C-3PO when he was a kid. I really liked that. I kind of like the pod racing scene. It was kind of cool. It was kind of a fun racing scene. I really liked Qui-Gon Jinn. I didn't like Obi-Wan Kenobi in this movie. I didn't like the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi was kind of a jerk, bro. Why do I get the feeling that we've picked up another a useless life form, a pathetic life form, whatever he called him? He's calling a human kid pathetic, useless. He didn't even care about the kid. He was only freaking caring about him was because of the promise he made to Qui-Gon was the only reason he even cared about the boy. He didn't even care. I did like if they gone with the original plan of making there were no Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan finding the boy and stuff, it would make more sense with what he said in the Return of the Jedi. He was the best star pilot in the galaxy. When I met your father, he was one of the best star pilots. I've had a feeling you've become quite a good pilot yourself, But just like the fact that Anakin was a slave really, it was a good origin story. I just don't like the fact that you had to be a certain, but I didn't like what they did was that the Jedi hated Anakin. Like, man, come on, are you jealous or what? Like, come on. He's the chosen one, and you're jealous the fact that this 9-year-old kid is more powerful than Yoda. You know what I mean? Yoda's about to die. He's like 800 something years old. He's almost 900. Right? So like, you shouldn't. He's the chosen one. He's gonna bring balance to the Force, make everything balanced. Okay. That was the point. And the Phantom Menace did what they also did after. That happens. Alright, let's continue going in the story. Alright, so after that, they talked to Palpatine. They talked to Queen Amidala, but we don't know. That's not actually Padme. That's her handmaiden, who's going to be using that, her handmaiden. And they go ahead and they decided to, talk to her and say, hey, beware, Viceroy. The Senate would never approve of the blockade, and and stuff like that. And we all know they're lying because he's going behind the Senate. And what do you think of the fact that I don't like the fact that they just go ahead and really just go ahead, just take the fact that there was some that this blockade. What's the point of the blockade? What, you want her to sign a treaty so they could take over Naboo? That's the whole point. Come on, you could have done something better, Georgia, because you're a better storyteller than that. And this movie really, really got on my nerves every single time I watch it. The dialogue bores me to death. Like, come on, just move on. Right? Like, what do you think? What do you think of the dialogue of the Phantom Menace? What do you think of the way they talk in that movie?
I like the movie, but I don't really like the dialogue. And what I didn't like about all of those movies in the prequels is that George Lucas had to make Count Dooku, Palpatine, act like he is a senator and all that stuff, even though he's a Sith Lord, not a freaking senator. So
yeah, well, hold on. Let's talk about that. You said he's not the he's the Sith Lord and he's not the Chancellor. He got voted in that movie. He gets voted to become Chancellor. They pick him to be the Supreme Chancellor. He rules over the entire galaxy. That's the only reason he was able to turn the Senate to a galactic empire. That's how when he got voted, he kills his master Darth Plagueis, and Darth Maul dies, to Obi-Wan Kenobi, you get that that after Qui-Gon dies, right? In the Tales of the Jedi, they talk about how and stuff like that, and how Dooku did not. They said, why did you have to have him kill him? Like, no, and then right, like, so what I think is that they the way he took over was great, and I like it. But there's problems with the movie, and I'm gonna get to them. And the Phantom Menace. So when the Phantom Menace, when I first watched it, I really, you really like it because I was, you're a kid, right? You're a kid. You're getting introduced to Star Wars, and you watch this movie. You see little kid Anakin, and you think you want to be little kid Anakin, and you want to be pod racing. You want to be him. You want to just be pod racing. You want to be the chosen one. You want to go join the Jedi Order. You want to. Then you play Star Wars all day, and then that's before you watched the second movie, which we'll go into. We'll talk about that in the next episode of our podcast. I would like to say that when you're a kid and you watch this movie, you really enjoy it, right? Okay. He's like, you want to play, you have a lightsaber, and you and your dad, or you and your brothers, or somebody, or you and your mom, or you and your sister, you go outside and you lightsaber fight all day. You play Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, and then your dad tells you, oh hey, your dad or your mom tells you, hey look, there's another movie. Yeah, there's a second Star Wars movie. Do you want to come watch it with us? And then you're like, yeah. And then you do that, and then you play that with your siblings and stuff. Like, what the point is when you get older, you rewatch these movies and you don't like it. You don't enjoy the fact that you don't really like it. You don't like but like the only good thing about that movie I'm gonna say is the Duel of the Fates scene. Come on, that's the only. Right? Like, it's just a huge problem that they did. They decided to make the best scene, Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. My opinion, I didn't want Darth Maul to die. I would more have wanted just none of them to. I just wanted them once to win because one is like, I guess surrenders or something like that. Because I would really have liked Darth Maul to be in Revenge of the Sith. Imagine him being in that movie and all the originals, and then he's pops up in the prequels and he's all in those, and that would be so cool. But they had to make him die off in the first movie like they did with Qui-Gon, who was like my favorite character in that one.
No, but here's what you're getting wrong, okay? Qui-Gon is like 60 in this movie. Darth Maul is in his like early 20s, more energy, but also Qui-Gon has more control, more training. The only reason he was able to defend himself was because of the fact that he has more training than Darth Maul. But Darth Maul is really arrogant. He's a Sith. He's a Sith apprentice. He's very arrogant. He thinks he's better than everybody. That's the reason. He uses his dark side, and he ends up using his speed and agility to beat Qui-Gon. But Obi-Wan realizes he wasted all his energy on Qui-Gon and stuff. He did not. He knows there was two of them fighting him. Obi-Wan literally comes in there, starts to fight him with anger, but then decides to control himself, be more in the control of the fight. He starts to use the light side, fight him, Darth Maul, and win. Right? The way he's about to die off in the reactor shaft, flips over him. Because Darth Maul thought he already won. Darth Maul already thought he was defeated. Obi-Wan. Darth Maul was going to walk away and stuff. But then he uses the Force, takes Qui-Gon's lightsaber, stabs him, slices him in half, right? But you see, that was the point. The point of Darth Maul, if you don't know, if you know, you know, but Darth Maul comes back in the Clone Wars and in Rebels, but he dies in Rebels. Okay. Right? But you say Darth Maul shouldn't have been should have survived. If he survived, he would. Sidious was gonna kill. He was gonna kill Darth Maul the same way he killed Dooku, right? He was gonna say, do it, stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but think about it. You seen Darth Maul. What if he just popped up in Mustafar on Revenge of the Sith and Anakin didn't get burned, and Obi-Wan got burned, but he didn't come. He just got like a sick suit or something like that. But I personally think Darth Maul was one of my favorite characters in that movie. And when I watch The Rebels, I will really like to, because
you gotta watch Clone Wars first. He's in there too.
Because I really like Darth Maul, and I really wish he didn't die in the first movie. And what you were saying was correct, but imagine all the movies having Darth Maul in it. What if they changed the entire dialogue of those movies? It made them like 10 times better than they already are right now.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine. Okay, so think of this. People talk about the Phantom Menace and they hate on it, right? I'm one of the people who do. I feel like it's a very rare situation for people to hate the Phantom Menace. I feel like people like that movie more than I like the second Star Wars movie in the prequel trilogy. But here's the thing they get wrong. Anakin's a teenager in the second movie, right? He's going to be whiny and annoying. All teenagers are. They don't have any points. He's going to be whiny. He's gonna think he's better than everybody else. All teenagers are. That's good storytelling. But what people don't understand is that's how Anakin's going to be. He's going to be whiny and annoying. But get this. He's still a kid. He's still only 19. He's not. You expect him, like what the Jedi thing is, to expect him to be perfect because he's the chosen one. But what if he wasn't the chosen one? What if Anakin wasn't the chosen one? What if Anakin was thought to be the chosen one, but he wasn't? He was the father of the chosen one, and Luke was going to be it. What if that was the thing? But they treat him not like a normal person who was a kid and he was 9 years old. And when he became a Jedi, what if they just but they treat him like he's supposed to be perfect, like he has to be able to do all these things, he has to live up to the name of the chosen one. The way the Jedi treat him is horrible, especially in this film. You could really see the fact that Yoda's a jerk. I hate Yoda. Mace Windu, I mean, I don't care. Samuel L. Jackson did a great job in acting. I like him, but Mace Windu's a jerk. Okay, all the Jedi don't believe in Anakin. They don't believe in Qui-Gon Jinn. Obi-Wan sides with the council instead of his own master, right? Believing the fact that Anakin is just dangerous because he's going to be trained because he's 9 years old, and even if they did train him, it's going to happen. But the way Anakin gets treated really leads up to the dark side, and that's one of what they did right, and what George Lucas did right in that movie was make the Jedi complete jerks to Anakin. But my point is that what Disney does is they try to do that with the Acolyte. If you've seen that, when we talk about the Acolyte, go check it out. I did 8 videos on it. It's really makes sense. They try to do the same thing, but what they're doing wrong with it is that it already happened. It's already happened. You can't make the Jedi hate other Jedi because the Jedi aren't supposed to. And then they try to make Osha special by joining when she was young, too old to join the Jedi Order, right? They try to do that, but no, what they're doing. Okay, but in the Phantom Menace, they did that right. The Acolyte can't just copy Star Wars. That's basically just a fan film, and fan films aren't going to be copied. But that's not. It's not a film. It's not. It's just supposed to be a film by a fan who is passionate about Star Wars or whatever fan film it is. It could be Spider-Man too. But what George Lucas does right is making the Jedi jerks to Anakin. That really helps us believe he could turn to the dark side. And also starting the Jedi 9 and them explaining the fact that if he was trained at 9 years old, by anybody, any normal Jedi, he would turn to the dark side. But Qui-Gon, on the other hand, isn't. What I like about this is the Duel of the Fates scene, not because the lightsaber choreography is amazing, but the story it tells. Okay, Dave Filoni explained it, but I'm gonna re-explain it. The fate is the fate of the child, the fate of how the child's gonna turn out. So it depends. If Obi-Wan trains Anakin, he turns to the dark side. But if Qui-Gon trains him, he turns to the light side. Obviously, Qui-Gon dies, and Obi-Wan trains the boy, and he turns to the dark side, right? But what happened if Qui-Gon survived, and so did Obi-Wan, and they both defeated him, right? What happened if that happened? What happened if that? What about that? What do you think?
Okay. What if it was different? What if how all of them lose? And what if Darth Maul wasn't always in the dark side? And what I really wish they would do was kill Sidious way earlier in like maybe Attack of the Clones or something like that, because I really hate him and the way he made Anakin suck. I liked him when he was not a Sith, when he was a Jedi. And what I would really like to talk about in the third episode is why they had to kill off Padme. But that's Anakin's fault. So, just the Duel of Fate is the fate of the child, right? Right, you said. But what happens if Darth Maul won? He trains Anakin, and
Yes, you're right. What if Darth Maul won? You're right. If Darth Maul won, Anakin would be. There was no way of turning him back to the light. Luke would die. Then the whole Rebel Alliance would die. There would be, and then the Empire would keep taking over. Anakin would have no feelings to him, or Padme would have buried him still because she thought she could turn him back. She was wrong. After she has his children, she dies off because she doesn't, like they did with her, she lost the will to live, and because Anakin's bad, she thought she could change him back. She dies. Luke, and then once that happens, Luke and Leia. Leia would be. I think what they could have done was Leia gets separated because he's gonna just train one of his children. He has only believes. I guess I don't know. Like one of them. He trains Luke. Luke's evil. Or Leia. Actually, Leia would be a better dark side user. I would like Leia to be the dark side user. Leia gets trained. Luke tries to turn them both back. Darth Vader says he's going to. Then Leia kills Luke, or something like that. But if Darth Maul trained Anakin, he would be way darker, way more powerful than he was if Palpatine trained him, when he turned to the dark side. Because he still had feelings and stuff for Padme. After he died, he felt like it was her fault, his fault. He felt guilty and tried to bring him back, and had his anger, but his belief. But when Luke believed in him and believed that there was still good in him, that made him conflicted and made him want to turn back. But let's get back to the Phantom Menace. We're skipping. Okay, we'll talk about Return of the Jedi in the 6th episode. Right? The Phantom Menace. Okay? The way Qui-Gon believed in the child. Qui-Gon believed the fact that Anakin is the chosen one. The way he felt about the child was I really believed in Qui-Gon. You really think that you're really sad when Qui-Gon dies. When you're a kid, you don't want Qui-Gon to die. You don't. But when Obi-Wan kills Darth Maul, you're like, yeah. But when right, like, because you're like, that's what you get, Darth Maul, for killing Qui-Gon Jinn. Because you're like, you didn't want, because you don't like Darth Maul winning. You don't want Darth Maul to win. You don't want the Sith to win. You don't want the bad guys to win. But the Phantom Menace, really is just like, why? What's the point of Gunkins? Why Jar Jar Binks? Why Jar Jar Binks? What's the point of him? He has no importance to the story. He's not. He when you're 9 years old, you think he's hilarious, but then you get older and you realize he's not. What do you think of that?
I like Jar Jar Binks. I don't think he had a point in the movie, but I like him. But my honest opinion, I think he is a Sith Lord. Like, teaming up with Sidious, thinking he is a wise man. So he is just full on, whatever you are gonna call him, Jedi, or like. But he's like, I think he's a Sith Lord. In my honest opinion, he has to be one, because there's no point of him being a Jedi or anything like that, because he teams up with them, but he seems like so suspicious. Like, I don't think he has a point in the movie, and I think he's a Sith Lord, but I think I like him, but I don't really have opinions for him for being important to the movie. He has no importance. I feel like Qui-Gon was like so annoyed, and because like he was taking Obi-Wan to adventures, and it was who was by their side, Jar Jar Binks, when he didn't need to be. So I'll let him talk.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my opinion for Jar Jar Binks. Usually you don't, but I do. I have a huge pet peeve. Jar Jar Binks is annoying. Okay? He had no importance to the story. Okay? He didn't have to be in the movies. He didn't have to be a part of this movie. He did not have to be this big of a role in that movie. He was not important. You know, honestly, that movie would be shorter and way more. I would maybe put us up higher if Jar Jar Binks wasn't in it. Okay, Jar Jar Binks is the worst character, most weirdest character in that movie. In episode 1, he's the weirdest character.
Okay, so what I did like how they did with Jar Jar Binks is that they had him a whole lot in the Phantom Menace, but in the Attack of the Clones, he had a little bit of a role in the movie, and then Revenge of the Sith, you can barely even see him in there. But I'm pretty Jar Jar Binks, the only way you really would see him in Attack of the Clones is when Obi-Wan and Anakin go and see Padme. That's the only way. That's like probably the only time you see him in there. And then the Battle of Geonosis, he's just fighting a whole lot of people. So get your opinions on this for how I like how that happened.
Okay, so what I like about the movie is the Gungan versus the droids battle. I like the droid. I like droids. I like droids and creatures, except for Gungans. Gungans suck. Jar Jar Binks is the only Gungan I hate so much. I also hate Boss Nass. Gosh, it's so stupid. Like, why? Why does the Gungans have to be in this? Alright. Also, guys, if you have any questions, comments about what you have, any questions about these movies, or anything you would like to share about your opinions of this movie, leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments, and I will read them. Some of your guys' comments. I'll read your guys' comments. Alright, I read as much people's comments as I can. Okay? So, what I like to say is the movie did, and I really liked the fact I really liked R2D2. I really liked how they introduced him and C-3PO. Okay, C-3PO. Let's talk about the Tatooine pod racing scene. Sebulba. Sebulba. Hey Sebulba. This guy's a dirty outsider. I would hate to see you all destroyed before our next big race. Nah. Oh, if you weren't a slave, I'd squash you like a bug right now. Yeah, too bad if you had to pay for me. That scene where Sebulba and Anakin fight is just funny. It's like sibling banter. It's just not annoying. It's funny. Because, like, if you have siblings, you would think it's funny. Right? You would be It's relatable. Right? Sebulba and Anakin are like siblings. Right? Like me and you. We're siblings. Right? We're brothers. When we were kids, we used to fight all the time over who would get this lightsaber, over who's the best character, over why Mace Windu sucks or why he's so great. Mace Windu is not the best character in Star Wars. He's the weirdest character. I loathe Mace Windu. I would watch the Mace Windu show, but I just don't like the fact that I like Anakin better than I like Mace Windu. So yeah, that's why I hate him. But what I don't like, okay, so the Sebulba and him arguing is funny because it's like Jar Jar Binks getting beat up is the youngest sibling, and Sebulba's the middle child wanting to get attention, and the oldest sibling, me, right, comes in and it's like, yo, chill out, bro. Otherwise, I'm gonna I'd squash you like a bug right now. And he's like, you're like, no, I would squash you like a bug, and be like, yeah, you'd have to, and I would hate for, it would suck if you'd have to pay for me, because you'd have to pay for all my medical bills, and then you maybe stop, and then we race, and I win, because I'm the best. But yeah, that scene is always I really like it. It's just funny. If you agree, let me know, and let us know in the comments, because we will read your comments, and we will read them in the next podcast episode when we talk about Attack of the Clones, and that will be tomorrow. Because I will be recording this. This is a 9-day project, 9 episodes to it, and we will also for the movies. Okay, we'll also do the books. We'll also do every single Star Wars book in between the Phantom Menace, in between Attack of the Clones, and all the Clone Wars books. See, I have Yoda Dark Rendezvous Legends book. It's a Legends, but it still talks about the Skywalker Saga, and it kind of explains things that will help with the movies, right? But that scene always makes me laugh. All right, C-3PO. The scene with C-3PO and R2-D2, he's like, it's so funny. I'm pardon. What do you need, naked? My parts are showing. My goodness. It's so weird. It's kind of funny but weird. I like the fact that Anakin built the protocol droid to help his mom out. I really like that. Super sweet and stuff. I like R2-D2, not as much as I like Chopper, who's in Rebels, and I would talk about that. I'm pretty sure that's all Star Wars, That is Skywalker Saga. It doesn't have the Skywalkers in it. Yes, it does. There's Leia in it. Leia's in it. Yeah, okay. And Darth Vader's also in it. So we'll do Rebels as well. We'll do Rebels. I think we'll do Clone Wars. If you guys want me to talk about Clone Wars, I'll do the Clone Wars. We'll talk about it and how it's the best Star Wars TV show to date. There's nothing better. But I do really like the origins of Anakin and how he's a slave, and when he goes to train as a Jedi, they're not going to train him because he's too old, and then he does end up getting trained because because they realize he is the chosen one. But when he does get trained, I would rather him get trained by somebody who was better. Okay, I would like him to train by anybody but Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. So there's a lot of when the Phantom Menace came out, a lot of products and toys came out. I have 3 of them. I have Qui-Gon Jinn, Naboo with the lightsaber and handle of his lightsaber. I have Mace Windu with his lightsaber and Jedi cloak. I have Anakin with his bag. I think his little backpack. Like Anakin when he's on Tatooine as a slave. When he's on Tatooine as a slave. That one. Not the pod racing one, not that one. They're all in boxes. There's also Qui-Gon's lightsaber. There's also, I think they have Darth Maul. There's these toys where you can use these lightsaber hilts. We have one of those, don't we? Yeah, and we have Darth Maul and Obi-Wan. You have their lightsaber hilts, and you attach them to the back, and it, controls them and stuff. And those are the toys. I really like those. The toys that came out for it, I like. The characters, not so much as I would like. But we will talk about Attack of the Clones and why it's so great tomorrow. Okay? In the next one. But, yeah, what do you have to say about the merchandise that they sold for Stat? What do you say?
For like the little knickknack collectibles or everything,
Like
shirts.
literally all the collectibles, all the toys they sold.
So I'd say about the collectibles, they're kind of cool, but I would rather keep them in the box than play with them. That's the whole reason they're called collectibles. Usually, kids don't care. They don't really get the reason to keep them in a box. The only ones that you're not supposed to do is like if you look online and they're like $2 and it's not showing the toy, it's just showing a little picture of it. So I like the merchandise of it. Say, I don't really know why they did that about episode 1. The action figures are great. The little knickknacks and all those things. Whew. And I'd say the merchandise is great, and I want them to make way more characters like that nobody cares about, but like they just want it to put in their collection. So
yeah, because they end up being worth so much. I have 3 of them that are worth a lot. Like lots. That will be worth lots. I mean, they're lots. They came out in 1999. Qui-Gon Jinn is really expensive. Mace Windu not so much, but it's episode 1. They will be. And I want to get all the Attack of the Clones toys. I want to have some. I want to open them and then get the same ones and then keep them in a box. Right. So I have 3 of them. I also have Clone Wars. I also have Mandalorian, Empire Strikes Back toys. I have Darth Vader from A New Hope. I have Darth Vader, Disney one, and stuff like that.
So while he is doing something, I will talk about The Phantom Menace. And so far, the movie has been great. How much we've been talking about it. And little Anakin, well, just call him Anakin. Usually kids call him little Anakin because he's little and mostly. So Anakin's a great character. I think he had a big point in all of those movies. They made him like one of the most main characters in the entire movie. I like Mace Windu, but he's so rude, and they don't let him become a Jedi master, even though he's a knight and he's ready. And I like how they did all the people they made. Qui-Gon Jinn die, which I'm sad about because what if Qui-Gon Jinn came on Mustafar and stopped the fight and all that stuff? And I don't think the council really had a point of not trusting Anakin becoming a master, but we're talking about Phantom Menace, so
Yo, okay. What I like to say is, we have a lot of these. We will be, if you want a podcast, more, we'll be. Phantom Menace is almost over. We're almost done talking about it, so we'll talk about Obi-Wan for a bit. He's barely in this movie, and I'm glad he isn't because he's annoying. And he's annoying, and I don't really like Obi-Wan. He's such a, like, like, he's just not a good master. He shouldn't have been. He's just not. Okay? I have the Obi-Wan graphic novel where I did a series. I read all 5 of the graphic novels, of the comic books. It's Obi-Wan's journal where he's writing about his past from before the Phantom Menace, from like when he's starting to training as a youngling, before the Phantom Menace, then during the Clone Wars, then before Revenge of the Sith, and then now, and then after he was done writing his journal, he was talking about what just happened to him, right? But what I'd like to say is the fact that Obi-Wan really sucked. He just really sucky. Just like, come on, man. You just treated Anakin so horribly. Like, you called him a useless life form. Like, yeah, I get the fact that Jar Jar Binks is a useless life form because he didn't even need to exist. Gungans didn't even need to exist. But Obi-Wan really just got on my nerves. But yeah, Obi-Wan has faults. This movie really annoyed me. The dialogue annoyed me. Okay, some characters annoyed me, but also there's some characters that I liked. Some of the stuff, some characters I liked. Some of the story made sense. Most of the story made sense. The story made sense. Just fix your dialogue, man. Fix the way you talk, the way they talk, George Lucas. I mean, like, yeah, and that's pretty much all we've got to talk about for today's podcast. And what we have to say, you know, The Phantom Menace is number 9 on my Star Wars list. Is number 9. It's at the bottom. It's number 9. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast, and I would love for more. For this episode we'll do more. Thank you. Goodbye.